At the outset, I would like to offer my humble pranams at the lotus feet of our most beloved Bhagwan. Loving Sai Ram and greetings from Shanti Nilayam. I'm sorry last week I was not able to record a program. That was because I had to go away to Hyderabad in connection with the National Science Day, which called for me to give a talk in a national laboratory. Moreover, other things came and I was very crowded and I did not have much time. I am very sorry, but I shall make amends this time. So let me pick up from where I left off last time. If you recall, I had brought you up to the point where Swami had transferred from the school in Bukkapatnam to the school in Kamalapuram. Kamalapuram, I told you, is a small town in the neighboring Kadapa district, and Swami joined the school there because his elder brother Seshma Raju got an opening as a teacher trainee in that school. Now, Sathya, as Swami was known at the time, stayed with his elder brother, who stayed in the house of his in-laws. I told you he had got married, and his in-laws lived in Kamalapuram, and that's one of the reasons why he joined the school there as a trainee. So Sathya went along with him. Son-in-law was welcome, but his brother was not welcome, and that was an added reason for dislike of Sathya was he came from a poor family. So, as I explained to you, all the household chores were dumped on him, and that included Sathya bringing water from a far-off well, all that I described last time. Today, we'll continue from there. In the school where Sathya studied, there was a drill master. I don't know what the situation is at the present time, but back in those days, every school had what was known as a drill master, and his job was to take the students out into the playground, make them play games, and also put them through various kinds of drills, basically exercises. Now, the drill master in the Kamalapuram school also happened to be a scout master. The scout movement had penetrated India, and many schools had scout programs. In fact, when I studied in school in Madras in 1946, I was a Boy Scout myself. And Sathya joined the scout program because basic motto of the scout is to help. And he was a very enthusiastic scout. Of course, normally scouts are supposed to wear uniform, but when you go for the regular scout classes, people don't wear uniform. And so Sathya was also getting trained as a Boy Scout. Now, near Kamalapuram, there is a small town called Pushpagiri. It's actually a temple town. It's a town with a hill on top of which there is a temple. And being a rural town, it used to hold every year a cattle fair. People would bring their cattle, and there would be a lot of trading of cattle. And this cattle fair used to attract a large crowd of buyers and sellers. And taking the opportunity, a small bazaar would come up where people would sell all sorts of things. And there would be some small side attractions, vending shops where they would sell sweets, some juices and fruits and stuff like that. Now the scout master in Kamalapuram thought it would be a good idea for the Boy Scouts to run a service camp at the time of the cattle fair. So he told the boys, the cattle fair is coming. All of you get ready. We will all go there and have a nice camp for 2 or 3 days, during which the fair runs. All the boys were excited. Sathya, however, sort of kept aloof. He was not involved in all the discussions about the camp, what they would do, what they would not do, and so on and so forth. There were 2 reasons why he was not very enthusiastic about the camp. The first was he did not have uniform. It was necessary to go to the camp wearing a uniform. He didn't have uniform. The second was he did not have money. Money was needed because one had to go by bus from Kamalapuram to Pushpagiri, so that meant some bus fare. And while they were in Pushpagiri, they had to spend money for food. So as far as Sathya was concerned, uniform and cash were the two problems. And that's why he did not participate in all the excitement and discussions about the forthcoming scout camp. Many of the boys noticed Satya's aloofness and they asked him, Sathya, you are also one of us. Are you not coming? He sort of gave some evasive replies. Now, one of the boys was also a scout, was none other than Ramesh. Remember last time I told you about two boys, Ramesh and Suresh? Ramesh was one of those boys who was a boy scout. And he sort of understood what Satya's problem was. Ramesh might not have been very brilliant in studies, but he was a very sensitive fellow. And noticing that Sathya was more or less of the same size as him, he decided to get two uniform dresses stitched, one for himself and one for Sathya. So he went and told his father, Father, we are going for a scout camp. We all need to have uniform and you must get one stitch for me. And father said, of course I'll get one stitch for you. And then he said, Father, there's another boy, Sathya is his name, he's a very good boy, but he doesn't have money, Father. So do you mind getting one, stitching one for him? He's the same size as me. Father said, yes, sure, go ahead, we'll order two uniforms. So the uniforms came and Ramesh packed one of them neatly and then wrote a letter to Sathya, took both of these to the school early in the morning, long before the school formally opened. He managed to get inside to the classroom, put the packet and the letter under the desk at the place where Sathya would normally sit. Remember I told you he would sit in the front row and Ramesh and Suresh would be on either side of him. So Ramesh left the packet there along with the letter and went away. Now, as in Bukkapatnam, Sathya was the class leader. So he would come early, open the windows, clean the board, make sure there was chalk, duster, everything, and so on. And keep the classroom in readiness for the classes to begin. And as he was going about his duties, he noticed there was a packet under his desk. Picked it up, and along with that packet there was a letter addressed to him. He tore open the cover, took out the piece of paper and saw it was a letter from his dear friend Ramesh, who used to sit next to him. And in that letter, Ramesh tells his friend, whom he calls Raju, that this dress is meant for him, the uniform is meant for him, and that he should accept this uniform. This is what he wrote, and I'll read out. Raju, you must accept this dress. I will not take a no for an answer. So that is what Ramesh had written to Sathya. Sathya read the letter, folded the letter, put it along with the dress, took a piece of paper and wrote a reply. And this is what he said in the reply. In part, friendship cannot and must not be based on material give and take. If I accept your gift, it would spoil the beautiful bond of love between you and me. I am sure you do not want that to happen. So Ramesh, please allow me to return what you have no doubt offered with much affection. Sathya wrote that letter, folded it, put it along with the dress, and put the whole packet under Ramesh's seat. So there ended the matter of uniform. Of course, Ramesh came later for the class, saw the letter of his friend Raju, and felt sad, but that was it. Meanwhile, the date for the camp was coming closer and closer, and the boys were pressing Sathya. Raju, tell us that you will come. So now Sathya decided that he will tell them that he would come. He said, yes, I will come. But I am not sure whether I will come with you, but I will be there, don't worry. He had decided he would go without a uniform. After all, it was service that was important. Uniform was not so important. That was a decision. But he still needed money for the bus fare. What to do about that? He did not want to ask his brother for some cash because already his brother was supporting him in the house and taking care of his education. He didn't want to overburden his brother. By the way, this was Swami's nature always. As he often used to say, mine is the hand that gives, mine is not the hand that receives. I heard him say that many times. At the same time, I also heard Swami occasionally tell somebody, I will ask you something, will you do it for me? It's very interesting to see Swami ask that. And I used to wonder, Swami says he will not ask anybody for anything, and yet he is asking. But after some time I realized what was happening. Swami really didn't want anything. He would ask for something very simple or very minor. Basically he was telling the other fellow, you idiot, you're standing there, I'm giving you an opportunity to serve me, you're not serving me, so I'm openly asking you to do some service to me. In other words, he was not asking for anything. He was really dropping on the lap of the other person an opportunity to serve. That was Swami's nature. What about money? The issue of money was there, and somehow it had to be solved. Now Sathya had gone from the 6th to the 7th standard, and he had all the books he used for the 6th standard in very good condition. Now there was a boy in the school who had gone from the 5th to the 6th standard, and he wanted 6th standard books. But he was not well off, and he wanted to buy second-hand books or old books from some student or the other. Somebody said, go to Sathya, he has got a complete set of books and they are in very good condition. We came to Sathya and said, Sathya, Raju, I heard you have got 6th standard books and they are in very good condition. Would you let me have them? I will buy them at second-hand rate. Raju said, yes, I have got the books. And then the boy said, that is very nice. The whole set costs 30 rupees. Here is 15 rupees. That is the standard second-hand price. Please accept it. Raju said, no, that is too much. I want only 5 rupees. He said, what? 5 rupees? That is 1/6 for new price. Second-hand price is half. He said, I'm not bothered about that. I have need for 5 rupees and 5 rupees is enough for me. So the boy was very happy. He gave 5 rupees. In those days, currency notes were not in vogue. We used to use only coins. Even for the rupee, we used to have only coins. Currency notes were used only for very high denominations. And the boy gave 5 rupees in coins, took the books and happily went home. This deal was enacted some distance outside the house. Sathya came home with coins jingling in his pocket, and as he entered, his elder brother's mother-in-law saw Sathya coming, and she heard the sound of coins in his pocket. Promptly she jumped on him, accused him of stealing money from the house, and took away all the cash. So Sathya was back to square one. No uniform, no money. He had said he will come to the scout camp. What was he going to do? On the morning of the day the boys were to leave, the other boys said, Raju, tell us that you are coming. He said, yes, I will come. Don't worry. You will see me there in the camp. But you go ahead, I will come separately. Having said that, he withdrew, came back home. The boys all gathered, got into the bus, and they left. That was in the afternoon or so. That evening, Sathya quietly slipped out of the house and started walking towards Pushpagiri. He walked all night, and early morning he reached the outskirts of that village, Pushpagiri. As he reached that village, he saw a pond there with clear, good water. So he had a wash, freshened himself, and started walking towards the cattle fair, which was some distance away. And as he was walking, he saw on the ground one anna coin. In those days, the rupee was not divided into 100 paisa as now, but into 16 annas. And of course, there were further subdivisions, but there was 1/16th of a rupee, and that was called 1 anna. And there was a coin, 1 anna coin lying there. Raju picked it up and kept it with him. He walked towards the fair, and there was cattle business going on in the background, hundreds of cows and bulls being traded. But in the foreground, there was this bazaar with so many people selling things and so forth. And he saw there was one fellow who had spread a cloth on the ground, and he was running a little bit of lottery. You would place bet, and then he would roll a dice or something like that, and something would come up. And if you won, you got money. If you lost your money. That was it. Sathya went there, watched for a while, and then he placed 1 anna, which he had found as a bet. 1 anna became 2 annas. He invested that. And after 3 or 4 rounds of continued success, 1 anna became something like 12 annas, 3/4 of a rupee. And so the man looked at Sathya and said, "How about betting that, all of it? Or do you want to walk away with it and say, I had enough of a good run, let me keep it?" Sathya said, "I don't want to bet, and I don't want this money. Please take it back." The man was shocked. He said, "Come on, what are you doing? You won this fair and square." Sathya said, "I don't know about that, but I believe I should not be gambling. I am too young. What I did was wrong. I don't want this money." The man said, "Listen, my dear fellow, I understand all that. But you know, if you have principles, I also have principles. I run this as a business. Sometimes I lose money, sometimes I will get money. Now you have won fair and square, and it will be improper for me to take back your money. So you have to take it. I don't care." Then he said, "You look very tired. You must be hungry. Take this money and go and buy some food and eat. Okay? Keep it. It's not a lot of money. It's only a small amount. You are a young boy. Please take it. And take my blessings and go." And after the boy left, this is Sathya left, taking the cash, this man looked at the people near him and said, "Very strange boy. I have never seen such a good person like this. There's something really unusual about him." Sathya approached the epicenter of the fair, looked for his scout troop, found them, joined them, and began to do service. Others were in uniform. Sathya didn't have a uniform, but then once you get immersed in service, having a uniform is no big deal. He enjoyed himself. He was very happy entering service, and everything was going very well. This went on for 1 or 2 days, for which period the fair was conducted. But one funny thing used to happen. Every time it was, they had a lunch break or a dinner break, Sathya would disappear. All the boys would go to some place and eat, but when they look around for Sathya, he would not be there. They all noticed this. The scoutmaster also noticed this. He sort of guessed what the problem was, because already Sathya was not having a uniform. So quietly he went to him and said, "Raju, are you eating properly? Do you have any problems?" It was after one of those meals breaks. Now Sathya was very clever. He smiled and said, "Sir, please smell my hand." The master smelled the hand of Raju. There was some smell of food coming from the hand. Essentially, what Sathya was saying was, "I have eaten something which I could manage. Please leave me alone." All he had with him was 12 annas, and he had to manage food for 2-3 days. So he ate very little and filled his stomach with water most of the time. The master was able to guess this but didn't want to embarrass the boy. So he said, "Yes, okay, I understand," and moved away. The camp came to a close. And they were going to shut it down. So the scoutmaster said, "Boys, in another half an hour, we will all go and catch the bus to go back to Kamalapuram. You have a few moments. If you want, you can go to those small shops and buy what you want." So the boys rushed to pick up all sorts of, small gifts or whatever, souvenirs. And Satya still had a small amount of money left with him after all the meals. So he went to a small vendor, an old woman who was selling things that women usually buy, like turmeric, kumkum, which women put on the forehead, flowers, and bangles. Now Satya's sister-in-law, that is his brother's wife, was expecting a baby, and he thought these would be nice things to give her as a gift when he goes back. So he bought some of these things and started walking back. Next morning, he was back home. He slowly opened the door and entered, and his sister-in-law was standing there. So he went and gave her these gifts and fell at her feet. She took the whole thing, threw it, and started abusing him. Her mother, that is Sesh Maharaja's mother-in-law, heard the sound. She came and she also started scolding and banging Satya. Hearing all this commotion, Sesh Maharaja came. He too was wild. Wild because Satya had left home without taking anybody's permission, and wilder still because all the household work had to be done by his mother-in-law, because there was no servant at home, namely Satya. Getting very angry, he picked up a ruler. A ruler in those days was a rod of wood, about 1 inch, and people would place it on paper and roll it and draw lines. All clerks, accountants, teachers used to have it. He picked it up and began to beat Satya on the palm of his right hand. That was the way teachers used to punish students. After all, Sesh Maharaja was training to be a teacher, so he got some practice in beating. He beat Satya so severely, the hand was injured. A couple of days after this, or shortly after this, Sesh Maharaja's wife delivered the baby, but the baby died. So Sesh Maharaja sent a telegram to his father. This was his first child. It had passed away. So the father came running in order to console his son and the daughter-in-law. And when he saw Satya, he saw the hand was bandaged. So he asked him, "Satya, what happened?" Satya gave some evasive reply. "Oh, fell down, I injured my hands," and all that. "How did you fall down?" Again, more evasive replies. And he tried to be away from his father so that he wouldn't be asked questions. And after a while, the father went out, and there was a lady nearby who used to sell, make and sell breakfast. And she began talking to him. That is Satya's father, Venkamaraju, Pedda Venkamaraju. and began telling him all that was happening in the house. You don't know, this boy, tender boy, is being treated like a slave, he is being punished, he is being beaten, and so on. When Venkamaraju heard this, he began to feel very upset. But he couldn't do anything, he couldn't say anything. He waited till the evening, and in the evening he told the family, I want to go out, I'll take Sathya with me. He said, okay. And then they took a hurricane lantern, because there was no torch in those days. They went out quite some distance. And then the father again asked Sathya, tell me truly what happened to your hand. Oh, I injured myself. He said, Sathya, I know what happened. I know you are trying to hide what happened from me. I also know why you are trying to do that. You may try to keep things secret, Sathya, but walls have ears. And news spreads. I know what happened to you. Sathya, you were born after your mother observed Satyanarayana Vratam. You are very dear to all of us. I may be poor, but I am ready to beg in order to support you. I don't want you to be here and get punished brutally like this. It's not right. Come with me. Do you know how upset your mother will be if she hears about all this? Sathya said, Father, you should not talk like that. You must understand that my elder brother is interested in my future. That is why he has brought me here. He is doing so much for the family. Just now he has lost a child, his first child. The whole family is in deep distress and anguish. Now if I were to come away with you, what will people say? These are troubles, they come and go, they are passing clouds. Family honor is important, Father. So don't bother about these things. Everything will be all right. You please go and just forget about this. And don't tell mother about this. The father was very deeply disturbed, but he had to return alone. At this point, I want to make a couple of comments and remarks. The first is that this story I heard Swami narrate in Kodaikanal. I don't remember whether it was 2003 or 2006. I was with Swami in the Kodai trip on both occasions, but on one of those occasions, he was narrating this, I think in the evening. And when Swami described his father feeling upset, he really broke down. It was very difficult to see Swami relive those moments and feel anguish. I have heard Swami talk about his earlier days many, many times. But in later years, Swami always became very soft when he referred to his father, bodily father, and his bodily mother, as he used to refer to them. There would be tears in his eyes. And I can imagine what that scene must have been and how much anguish Pedda Venkamaraju must have felt. Now many people have asked this question. Swami said he was avatar. Why did he have to undergo all this suffering? Now, Swami has answered this question. Swami says, when God comes in human form, he lives like a human. And all the difficulties and problems that ordinary human beings face, are also faced by avatars. And he does this deliberately. He allows these things to happen to him deliberately so that people would accept him as a human being. And once they accept him as a human being, they no longer have an alibi to reject his teaching, saying, "Oh, you are God, you can do anything. We are not God, so we cannot do what you ask us to do." In order to prevent them from having that alibi, he allows himself to undergo the experiences that humans have. I'm not talking about Swami taking on the illness of someone else or the other. I'm talking of other things which happen to all of us. For example, I've seen Swami suffer from cold. Sometimes in summer, his nose would be bleeding. It happens to some people with sensitive blood system. And there he would be sitting in the veranda giving darshan, hot sun, and when he comes back, he would be just wiping his nose. It would be all full of blood. These things would happen to him. He would have fever. We know about it. But he will go and give darshan because that is what is expected of him. So he allowed these things to happen. And that was not unique about this avatar. Rama lost his wife. He had to go through the forest in search of her. And in battle he was injured several times. Why does he have to be injured? There was no need. Jarasandha invaded Mathura 18 times. 18 times. Krishna could have easily disposed him off. He didn't. Instead, he packed up and went to Dwaraka. That's how Krishna went from Mathura to Dwaraka. And ultimately, he made sure that Jarasandha was disposed of by someone else. That job was left to Bhima. So many strange things happen in Avatar's life. And by and large, avatars try to live like human. In fact, if you go and look at the proceedings of the summer course, 1976, that year the summer course was held in Ooty. Usually it used to be held in Vrindavan. And all those books carry the title Summer Showers in Vrindavan. This one was held in Ooty. It has a different title. I can't remember it exactly. Something in Blue Mountains. And Swami took it to Ooty because the Vrindavan hostel was being built. Construction work was going on. And if you read that, you find there is a lot of description of the human aspect of Krishna. In fact, Swami says, Krishna did a lot of leelas, but they were when he was a child. Those were childish experiences. The real reason Krishna incarnated was to give a message to human beings. And he lived that message. And a lot of the description that Swami gives in those discourses relate to Krishna behaving like a human being. So Swami has said this many times. When avatars come, when Narayana comes as a human being, he will live like a human being. If he comes like God, with all his fanciful attributes as people imagine him to have, they will put him in a museum and make money. I have heard Swami say that. They won't allow him to function like God. So in order to be able to teach, so God wears a human form. Let us get back to the story of early life of Swami. Padmaraju went back to Puttaparthi empty-handed with a lot of sorrow and anguish. And Sathya continued in Kamalapuram. One fine day, Seshmaraju completed his training and looked for a job. And he got a job in a place called Uravakanda, which happened to be in Anantapur district. It is to the northwest of Puttaparthi, some distance. About 100 kilometers or so away. I don't know the exact distance. And so, Seshmaraju went from Kamalapuram to Uravakanda, and along with him went Sathya. Now Seshama Raju was a full-fledged teacher, a Telugu teacher in this high school in Uravakanda, and Sathya was a student in Uravakanda High School. Apparently, Sathya's fame and reputation had already preceded him to the Uravakanda school. This is what Kasturi says. Now, how did people in Uravakanda hear about Sathya? Because of people coming from Kamalapuram and Bukkapatnam. They had heard of this young boy named Sathya, who was not only a model student, who was not only a good singer, who was not only a good poet and so on, but also one who used to materialize things by the wave of his hand. So, he was known for his so-called miracles. That's how he became famous even as he arrived. Now, the headmaster of the Uravakanda school liked Sathya so much that he told him, Sathya, you will lead the assembly prayer every morning and you will sing a song. So, Sathya wrote a special song for the school assembly and he used to sing it every day. In fact, I have heard Swami sing that song on a couple of occasions in his discourses. And that song was, in a sense, a curtain raiser to the message that he used to give us in later years, which is, there is only one caste, the caste of humanity. It is rather interesting that Sathya was talking about there being only one caste and unity among all religions and so on and so forth, because communalism was beginning to raise its head in the country. The year is 1940, and slowly there was a sort of feeling of separation between Hindus and Muslims that were being created by Western interests. That became a part of Indian politics, but I don't want to go into all that. But Sathya was aware of all that, and he tried to counter it by singing a song celebrating unity and oneness as a schoolboy. That is very important. Nobody had asked Sathya to do such a song, but he was already beginning to play the role he had come to play. Later, I hope I will have an occasion to make a reference to Swami's visit to Chennai in 2007, where at a public meeting, he made an explicit statement about unity in the country, which created some problems because many people were not in favor of being united. That story I'll narrate later. At this point, I should make a reference to what many people refer to as Chinnakathas. Now, the word Chinnakatha simply means a small story. But in the context of Swami, Chinnakatha means a story that has a meaning and that was narrated by Swami on some occasion or the other. The very first Chinnakatha was one that was written as a play by Swami at the request of his teacher. And this play was not only written by Sathya, but it was also produced, directed by him, and he acted as a hero in that Chinnakatha. The title of the Chinnakatha is Chippinattu Chestara. Do you act as you said? That is the rough translation. Kasturi makes a very nice reference to this drama in his book Satyam Sivam Sundaram, and at this point I would like to quote what Kasturi has said about this play. The teacher in charge of the drama department, Sri Tammiraju, once asked Sathya to write and produce a play, and Sathya plunged into the work enthusiastically. The drama was a great success, not only because the hero of the play was a little boy, a role enacted by Sathya himself, but also chiefly because it had as its theme the eternal sin of man, hypocrisy. That's the end of quote. Now, I am making a special reference to this particular Chinnakatha because today hypocrisy has almost become an industry. I'm sorry to say it, but most people don't realize how it all starts. It all begins because we do not attach importance to our words. Once we don't attach importance to our words, then we don't do what we say. We stop doing that. I have seen many people who will behave in a certain way in relation to Swami, but who will behave very differently in relation to others. And if you ask them, you say, that concerns Swami, this does not concern Swami. That is the beginning. And then, when they deal with other people, they will say something and do something else. It starts very innocently. For example, people will tell me, I'll come and see you tomorrow at 5 o'clock. They won't even come. And when they meet me next time, they won't even say, sorry, I couldn't come last time. This is very common. This does not mean that Indians are by nature forgetful and unpunctual. When I was in school and college, punctuality was something that was insisted upon in this country. And as for keeping your word, many people say it's a cultural thing. Indians don't mean what they say. That's not true. You go back to Ramayana, Dasharatha makes a pledge and he backs out, tries to at least. And Vasishtha scolds him and said, nothing doing. You have given your word and you have to keep it. And then there is the case of Harishchandra, a king who makes a promise and goes to enormous suffering in order to keep his promise. In fact, it is said that Mahatma Gandhi, when he was a small boy of about 12 or so, saw this drama and he was so much impacted by it that adhering to truth became a lifelong obsession with him. What I am trying to say is that this business of treating the word lightly is not a part of the Indian tradition as many people seem to think about this. In fact, Swami said that the word is extremely important. Words can be spoken only by human beings. Monkeys cannot speak words. Crows cannot speak words. It is a power given only to human beings. That power comes from God. The Bible also says the word is God. And Swami goes to the extent of saying, not only must your words be true, but your words must be in harmony with your thoughts and actions. Thoughts, words and deed must all be in harmony. This is what he referred to as Trikarna Suddhi. Manasyekam, Vachasyekam, Karmanyekam, Mahatmanam. That is what goodness is. And if you look at it, in a way, through this drama, Swami was preparing the world, so to say, about the message that he was going to give later on about Trikarna Suddhi and so on and so forth. So that is the sort of the message behind the Chinnakatha. And I believe Swami wrote the Chinnakatha mainly as a curtain raiser for things that were to come later. And they did not come very much later. In fact, they came very shortly after he went to Uravakonda on 20th October 1940 to be more precise. And that story I shall reserve for my next narration. For today, I thank you for being with me. I hope you liked what I told you. And if you have comments, please write to me. I would like to end as usual by offering this talk to Swami who made it all happen. God bless you all. Jai Sai Ram.